Morning, Tucson. How you doing today? So I'm coming on. I was reading a comment on YouTube, and she said that the person she was involved with wouldn't own anything he did or said or anything like that. And the first thing that came to my mind was this book. Why does he do that? It's written by Lundy Bancroft. It's a really good book. It's very thorough. It's mostly about men, but women have these traits too. And it's one of the first books I ever read. So I dated a guy years back, and he was very narcissistic. He never owned anything. He was spying on me all the time. I've made multiple videos on this. And I gave her, I've given a lot of people this name, whenever I read certain comments and stuff. But it's always blaming the other person. Blame. And they use names and they do all kinds of stuff. So I opened it randomly today, toward the end, and it reminded me about a dream I had when my daughter was in middle school. So it was this iron gate, and it was like about this short, but it was all around this little house. It was a really cool house. So I'm thinking the setting was like New York, upstate New York. And it had all these really pretty white ribbons tied to each of those posts all the way around. And then what was left of that ribbon, it was blowing. So it really stood out for me. So I started looking up the meaning for that ribbon. And it turns out that Canada started a program in middle school, I believe, about behavior of abuse. And it teaches them not to abuse their girlfriends and things like that. So they're starting young. But I had a strong feeling to start it in my daughter's middle school. But at the time, I just didn't have the confidence to approach her principal, which he probably would have done it, and he probably would have taught it, or me. But I think it's better if it comes from a man, because little boys look up to men, So I just found it kind of interesting how one thing leads to another. In this book, on page, pull it up, 386, Changing the Culture. When I got the dream, they had just started that program, I believe 6 months earlier. But I find it interesting how Father gives me these type of messages to help others. I should have followed through on that, but I didn't. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. But I'm putting it out there, so if anyone's interested, you can look it up. It's on Google. So, and if you don't understand why someone's not doing something, ask Father for the resources. Because how I got this other book, it's called Who's Pulling Your Strings? When I got that book, I'm sitting on the east side. He sent me all the way up north to get it in a bookstore. And it was strange. I don't know how I know him, but when I went in there, there's just all these books. I just went to the second floor, pulled it right from the shelf, and off I went. And I read it almost completely by the time I got home. I had to take a couple buses, but it's another book I couldn't put down. Let me pause it. I'll go get it. Alright, I found it. So it's called Who's Pulling Your Strings? How to Break Out of the Cycle of Manipulation and Regain Control of Your Life. Father also mentioned to me to mention is Codependency for Dummies, and it is written, it's written by, pull it up here, Darlene Lancer, and she's also on Facebook. her and I have talked in the past through texting. Sometimes people on her page will have questions about certain things, but there is other material that can help with whatever someone may be going through. So you just got to ask Father, and He can help you with all that. I have a lot of books. Every time I try to get rid of them, here's my daughter, let me keep those. And it's paid off because I can go in and I can pull a book because I know, what's in them. I read them all. And then every time I turn around, there's a new narcissist. The complex Pacific one are the good old guys, but they are narcissists. And I made a video back, it's called X Marks the Spot, and I talked about one specific person that we met that was like that. And but the problem is that when you become something you're not, you don't have the growth for your soul, your own soul. So it's anything you do is dead works. It doesn't work, and eventually you will be found out. And that's why it's real important that you stick to being who you are. And if you're wounded, fix it. Because I can't tell you the freedom by just having resources to read. And sometimes too, like, you'll see certain things that you even do. And it helps a lot to heal those aspects of yourself. But you don't want to become perfect, because then it defeats the whole purpose. But you can be aware of some of the things that you see in these books about yourself. And I like that because I was able to grow and handle things differently. Because when you see something you may not like about yourself, then you can start that process of the healing process. So it's really important to always be true to you, because God loves you and you are true to Him, and He wants you back to yourself. He wants you to be the child He created. And you have a lot to offer in the world, and your experience will help many. I mean, you read all the time or see videos about people who got into the wrong situations, and then they come out and they share. And those situations are very beneficial to many. And I just want you guys to remember that God loves you very much. And there will be many people like me speaking on these topics. And I share these books because they're important. They really are, especially to survival. You can come out of anything. No one says you have to stay there. No one says you're stuck. No one says anything, only your mind. And meditate. Mindfulness meditation really helps with that. If you have a thought, I cast it to the Lord, but I didn't realize, I mean, I'm acknowledging it, but I'm not dwelling on it anymore. I'm no longer wasting space that doesn't need to be wasted. I want to give that space to Father, and I want to give wholeheartedly to my brothers and sisters. We're all one. I don't care what anybody says. And you gotta take the good with the bad, or the bad with the good, I mean, it is what it is. It's what the world is. But I choose to love unconditionally. And I'm gonna stick with that because it works for me. And I've had a lot of people ask me, how do you do that? I mean, it's real simple. Pray for them and move on. Find a way to heal that aspect, because anger is a real pain. I know, because I had anger for years. Sadness, depression, all kinds of things. Even now sometimes I have depression, and because I'm an empath, I have to ask Father to help me with that. There's a lot of us that are empaths out there, and He helps me. This is my energy. I take full control. When I'm feeling down, I go right to prayer. I don't mess around. And you shouldn't mess around either. And if you need help or a resource, God will provide that for you. Be open to receive. Peace. God bless. Remember, He loves you, and He created you first.